I'm going to make a quick video that's going to go over the yellow belt and orange belt requirements. Right now it's just a demonstration of each technique. Later on is going to be a talk point reviewing each individual technique so you can best get the greatest interpretation for each individual section that is in your testing requirements. So I'm going to start off with stances, then go into the strikes, kicks, and so forth. If you need a reference for any of this, you can go to page 51 through 54 and you'll have everything that you need for its requirements for these two ranks. So as of right now, I'm going to show you these two pages. Okay? And also, one of the things that I want to say, you're going to see me do quite a few different combinations because that's also one of the requirements, being able to mix things together upon your own. It's not something that we necessarily always ask for, but if you can, definitely already have it in your mind that you might have to do it. So come up with something that feels comfortable to you. Okay, so just a quick demonstration. First thing you learn, of course, in martial arts within our system, preferably, is your front stance, okay? To basically teach you the fundamental of balance, which is the first principle of small circle jiu-jitsu. Beyond that principle of small circle jiu-jitsu, and number two, you're going to have, number two is mobility versus stability. Now, upon that, we will discuss that in a video, or I might just go ahead and do it in this. But let's start off with our front stance. You're going to have your left leg forward, okay? So just follow along with me, okay? And you're basically just going to be mirroring me, all right? A few combinations. Basically, what you're doing there is your lunge punch, reverse punch, front snap kick with your back leg, also your front leg, and also the same thing just with the roundhouse kick. Okay? So that's just an idea. Now, if you just want to use strike bases, you can still use, okay, well, you got your forward, got your reverse. Look at my hand position. If I were to step forward right now, what does this remind you of? Inside strike, okay? Great combination, one that you'll find me using a lot in class. If you ever work with me for sparring or anything like that, you'll see that one all the time, okay? Now, going beyond that, a lot of times people have trouble with certain strikes or certain kicks because of the way that they're learning it as they progress down the road, okay? So, for example, outside strike. Outside strike, a lot of times you learn that directly after learning your first two punches and downward strike. Why is that? It's because of the katas and the way that you learn them down the road. Okay, so white belt kata is Taikyoko Shodan. Yellow belt is Taikyoko Nida. Shodan, you learn lunge punch and your downward strike, not in that order, but in the reverse order. Downward strike, or lunge punch, and you're moving as you're doing the same techniques over and over. Okay. Beyond that, once you move up and you go to your yellow belt requirements, you start learning the kata called Taikyoko Nida. Taikyoko Nida consists of outside strike and lunge punch, okay? The only difference is the placement and the first technique that you're doing, okay? The pattern itself does not change. It's the techniques within that change. So, for example, your punch levels at some points in that kata and Taikyoko Nidan are different, okay? But let's look at the outside strike really quick and why people get confused sometimes. Okay, so down strike, starts right here. Left hand is doing all the work, right? Boom, here. And the other hand is just pulling back to my waist. Noting my chamber. A lot of times, when people start learning the next strike, the outside strike, they think, okay, well, my previous one I learned using my top hand, so I'm probably still going to be using that this go around. Okay, so you have that out there in your mind. Now, okay, well, the only difference is the hand position. Okay, well, I'm going here for down. Well, outside strike is the reverse of that. Okay, so down, we're going up. See that? And off to the side, to the outside of my body. So hinting outside strike. Now, a lot of times you can kind of see, okay, well, I get that. Okay, but what else is there that most people tend to mess up with this technique? Well, for one, hand position. Okay? When you're doing this technique, and with any technique, one of the things you definitely do not want to do is cause an injury to yourself. Now you ask yourself, well, how are you going to cause yourself injury? Well, here's the deal. A lot of times when people do their strikes, they try to do it so hard, so fast, and what ends up happening, they end up hyperextending their elbows. That's not a thing that you want to do. Trust me, I've done it, and I've also had several pinched nerves due from weightlifting and martial arts alongside with that. But once you learn how to do the technique properly, which I'm getting ready to show you, you will not have to worry about that, okay? Now, first thing to do to get the outside strike correct is know where this technique is going to come from, okay? So if my chamber for downward strike is here, and outside strike is coming from the bottom, and I have my left leg forward, well, something needs to switch. So what should that be? Should it be my legs, or should it be my hands? Well, since we typically start with our left leg forward, I'm thinking it should be my hands. So, the left hand here is going to come from the hip to do this strike, okay? Now, one of the masters that I know, and also that you guys know very well for those who view this video, is Master John Wade. You have John Wade's Karate and Gymnastics and Child Care. And one of the many ways that he explains this technique is like trying to dip an ice cream scooper into an ice cream bucket that is solid rock. And you're trying to get that sweet tasting goodness out, but it's not happening. So how do we get it out? Well, the way he says, you're coming in, noting where it's going, to my hip, okay? And now, you're going to try to sling it into your buddy's pole, who's across from you, to the outside of your left arm, okay? And as you're coming up, you're twisting your body, and then boom, releasing it. And that ice cream is flying into his bowl as we speak. So you're here, boom. This is where it releases the ice cream at this point that you turn. See how my hand is turning and going slightly out? But after that, it comes back, okay? So I'm here, boom. Now, here's another thing that I want you to look at, and I'm going to turn off to my side, to my left side, so you can see this. The technique hasn't changed. I'm still using my left hand for the tag. Okay, so I'm digging into my ice cream. I'm sweeping it out. Okay, boom. But you see this right here? Does this remind you of any particular shape? Maybe a triangle? Well, this right here, you want to look for. You want that triangle, okay? Because if you have this correct triangle right here, your arm should be on a 45-degree angle, okay? Now, one of the things that you do not want to do is make this uncomfortable for you. So if I turn back around, see how my fist lines with my shoulder? If it's anywhere like here or out here, I'm hurting myself all in my rotator cuff and beyond. I can feel this all the way down to the bottom of my rib cage if done incorrectly. So we never want to have those feelings, because then it takes us out of karate for a good bit, which is miserable, especially if you enjoy it and get to come and see your friends or whatever. But the main thing is, I don't want to see you get hurt. I don't want to get hurt. So let's both do this correctly so we can do it for a long, long time, okay? So when we're doing this technique, yes, it does go outside for a temporary second. That's where you get your strike in, okay? But it comes back afterwards. Now, here's one thing I want you to also not do, that a lot of people do, okay? Is force your arm back. It puts unnecessary tension on your shoulder joint. Once you deliver that strike, relax. Let your hand come back. It's going to come back on its own. It's going to do all this crazy stuff like you just saw it do on me. But it's going to fall right back into place where it needs to be, where it will not harm itself. Okay? So, now let's move on to some more techniques that some people do have trouble with. But let's start with the outside strike. So, the outside strike is here, right? Remember the chamber for the outside strike? Been right here? Well, there's another one, and this is an orange belt technique. Is your upper strike, okay? So upper strike starts in the same position as your outside strike. So, from here, I'm simply going to do what it says, go up, okay? But, as I step forward, look at what my hand is doing. And look at where it's landing. With your upper strike, you never want to be able to see, but just barely under it, because it's protecting you and the top of your head from any force that is coming down. So say if you were in a traditional Taekwondo or Shotokan school, you're going to have defenses against the bow and different things like that, okay? And a lot of times, this is a technique that they would use right here to defend against that weapon, which is smart in a way and ignorant in another. But that's the way a lot of us train, so what can we say? But we all have our different ideas and opinions, and let's leave it at that. But going on into this technique, with any, you want to make sure that it's on a 45, because that's where it's strong. So, you see my form, how it's looking all tense and puffed out a little bit. Now watch as it continues to go up. See, it's not nearly as shaped and formed anymore, but as it comes back down, oh, look at that. That's that cushion, that protection, that rock that you're looking for. If it's down here, nothing. My head is wide open to be split down the middle. Well, I want a little bit of protection, but if something hard hits my hand, it's just gonna slap me in the face, top of my head, and break my hand. And leave me with a concussion and a lot of blood gushing down my face. Not trying to have that, okay? So, I bring it up just a little bit more to about right here. I can barely see under it, but it's at a 45-degree angle, okay? And that's what you want, right here. Now, going on into our techniques, this is for your yellow belt and orange, is your knife hand strikes. So knife hand is typically going to be down in your cat stance, which is a T-style stance which basically means, well, your posture's going to look like a T. Okay? So if I step back, and you're still not going to see this very well, if I'm going forward, my back leg is going to be facing outward. Okay? Depending on which leg I'm using. If I'm using my back leg, as my right leg is going to be facing to its right, and my left leg is going to be facing forward. The main thing that you want to focus on with this particular stance is being able to put your forward leg's heel into the arch of your back leg, okay? Because that's going to assure you that you're in the correct position. Now, upon that, once you know that you are getting in the correct position, the one thing I want you to focus on doing is making sure that your heel is up off of the ground. This is not an L stance, it is a T stance, alright? L stance, your feet is going to be flat. A T, your feet are going to be, your heel is going to be up, okay? Beyond that, that basically covers, you know, your stances, you know, your forward stance, your fighting stance, your cat stance. That's all you need for yellow and orange. As far as kicks, you have, of course, your front snap, your front thrust, which is the only difference between the two. One, you're basically trying to maintain your distance while still delivering a little bit of a bad boy kick. And your front snap thrust kick, or your front thrust kick rather, is basically destroy, destroy, destroy. Either your opponent has you and you want him completely off and about buried into a pile driver almost, then a front thrust kick is the way to go. Or if you have your opponent and you deliver a front thrust kick while pulling them down towards you. Okay, those are the real differences between the two. Moving on to roundhouse and side kick. Now these two kicks a lot of people have trouble with if they're beginners. And then of course back kick, which is everybody's favorite. No. I mean, you learn to like it after a while, because it's a very direct, fast, quick, dirty kick. But it is, it's a challenge to learn. But going back to the roundhouse and the side kick, those two kicks get interchanged a lot with students who truly do not understand the difference between the two and how to set them up. So I'm gonna give you a quick tutorial. The first kick you're really probably gonna learn, because you're gonna be in a class with advanced kids or advanced adults, is really this. It's your side kick, okay? Which I think it should be backwards. I think you should learn the roundhouse kick first, and then you'll have a better appreciation of your side kick. Now, with your side kick, here's the deal. Start off, of course, with your basic front stance, okay? Leg distribution, 60-40. And you know my question. Where's that weight going, okay? Is it 40% here or 60% on my forward leg? Leave that in the comments below if you look at this video. Now, beyond that, once I know where I'm at and I know I have a solid foundation, I can start beginning this kick. Now with your front snap kick, what do? You bring that leg up first, right? Bring that leg up, then you do your pivot, and then you extend your leg out, and there's your kick. No tension, no fighting, it's just done, okay? Your side kick, really, truthfully, is no different, okay? So watch this. I'm in my forward stance. My hands are up. I bring my knee up. I pivot. Wink. I'm off to my side now. Okay? Front snap kick. Let's go back to that. Why didn't I turn as much? Well, with your front snap kick, a lot of times people tend to only turn on a 45-degree angle with that kick for some reason. And I'm one of them. But at times, if I'm really intending on hurting somebody, you will see me turn that leg fully as I drive that leg forward. Now, the reason I don't do it is typically because once I start to set back down, my back leg starts to drag along with me, okay? Because I had so much intent into that kick. So to cut back that amount of power, I just shorten it. Instead of going 90 degrees from being forward to turning it all the way over, I just keep it on a 45, so halfway between, okay? Now, with your side kick, you have to turn that 90 on your pivot, okay? Or it will not work. Okay, so I'm here, bam, and I'm turning. Alright, from there, it's very simple. I extend my leg out. I don't, once I'm here, I don't curve it like a roundhouse kick, but I just extend it, just like I would do with my front snap. So if I was here, I'm extending that leg. Now, with your roundhouse kick, where a lot of people get things mixed up, is the setup. Because we started just the same way as we did the front snap, the front thrust, and the side kick. But there's more. Okay, so I'm here. Bring my knee up. Okay, just like any other kick. Knees up. I turn 45. See my foot? See where it's pointing? It's pointing up to the side here. It's not all the way, like my side kick. But, just like I'm doing my pivot on my front snap, it goes off on a 45, not a 90 degree. Boom, roundhouse, side kick. Roundhouse, side kick, front snap, front thrust. Okay? These are the angles. Front thrust, front snap, go straight. Roundhouse goes off on a 45 towards your pivot, and your side kick goes off on a 90 degree. So, I'm going to go to my 45 from my roundhouse, set up. Now, I'm going to extend this leg off with the curve of my foot and making sure that I kick with the ball of my foot. Now, note, that's the way we do it in Kempo. But most traditional schools, as far as Taekwondo, Shotokan, Isshin-Ryu, and a lot of other systems, and professional MMA fighters, amateurs, and so on, kickboxers, they use the top of their foot. But for our system, we use the ball, but you can interchange them just depending on what's your preference. As far as testing, and when you're in front of the instructor, you do it the way we tell you to do it. Okay? That way there's no confusion. Okay? Cool deal? So, right here, boom. Turning off to a 45, curving that kick out. So again, 45, boom. Release that kick. And there's your roundhouse kick. Now, last and final kick is the most difficult to learn, but here's one way of looking. Okay? The leg that's forward is not what you're kicking with. Okay? So I got my left leg forward right now. My thoughts are up. Here's what I'm going to do different. Okay? All my other kicks either went straight forward or turned off to a 90. Well, this kick here is going to cause me to turn literally 180 degrees. Okay? So I'm here. Boom. There's my 180. Okay? But I'm looking at the fence behind me. If you're my target, do I need to be looking at the fence? No. Because what if you move? If you moved and I'm looking at the fence and I throw my kick, then I have nothing but about to be a very, very sore rear end. Okay? So what do I need to do? As I do my turn, I need to look over whichever shoulder that I'm turning towards to see where you are. Okay? So if my left leg is forward, my hands are up, and I do my turn, I'm looking at you. Boom. And then I throw that kick straight back to whichever direction that you're in. Or if I do not feel comfortable with it and I've already committed this much, I can simply back step out of it to face you in whichever direction you decided to move. Okay? Now, that we've got strikes and now your kicks, there's a couple more things that we are going to have to go over. Okay? Now this is going to go into what we say we never really do, and it's more like a block kind of deal. It's what we call double forearm. Double forearm is basically like if a guy throws a very, very quick punch at you, roundhouse punch of some sort, of hook punch, it's just very quick, boom! I'm going to use my forearms as my weapon to attack that incoming object towards my face. Okay? Whether this be even a billy club or whatever. Boom. Using this part of my arm. Okay? Now, here's where a lot of people have trouble with this technique. Of course, we start left leg forward, right? Okay? And I just go throw my hands up. Anything in that? No. Did my body turn any? No. Am I looking at what I'm doing? No, because I'm looking at you, right? Well, here's the deal. With this technique, it's very easily destroyed if you do not do it correctly. So, what you have to do is this. Okay, as you're in your front stance, and you're going to throw this strike, come from your hip, your opposite hip of where that attack is coming from. Okay? So he's standing in front of me, right? Ooh. Notice what I'm doing. Ooh. I'm coming from my hip over here with my hands. Bringing them up. Shooting them out. Turning my body. Explosion. Okay? As you explode into them, you want to release your phalanges, these right here, these fingers, like a water hose spout. Because that's where your energy within this technique is going to come from. And that's when you see a guy, ah! And that's what you want. Okay? Now, that technique is going to take you some practice, particularly with somebody doing this at you. So, if you're ever in class and you want to work on that, don't be afraid to ask, okay? Because you know we're very, very happy to march at you, okay? Now, I'm going beyond that. What's another strike that we should work on? I think that pretty much covers it. Now, for kicks, going back to your kicks, there's one new kick that you're going to learn, is the leg break kick. The leg break kick is very simple, very easy, and it's a 7th Q requirement, so your orange belt requirement, as far as your kicks is concerned. It starts just like any of your others. The only difference, there's not a lot of real motion into it. It's going to go down at a 45-degree angle right in front of you, okay? So, if I step back a little bit, my guard's up, left leg is forward, I'm going to pivot on this leg. That's the first thing I want to do. I'm going to pivot. Now, I'm going to bring that leg up. Okay? Pivot, bring that leg up. Now, I shoot it across. Like so. Now, it's not an easy kick to get, and it's very easily to throw yourself off balance and fall on your booty, especially if you do it in the mud or anything like that, and you're not very good at balance, okay? Or you're just playing around. Alright, now, moving upon that, we are going to go over into, let's see, your forms. Okay, so the forms that you need for the 8th kyu, the yellow belt, is very simple. Taikyoko Shodan and Taikyoko Nidan. Now, for your 7th kyu, which is the orange belt, once you go into that, it's going to have those 2 katas that you previously learned, plus a new one called Taikyoko Sandan. Okay, so I'm going to give you a quick round of those 3 forms, and then that'll be it for this video. Beyond your falls and rolls and stuff like that, which I hate doing it on the grass, but I prefer more asphalt. Alright, so let's get to it. Taikyoko Shodan. Taikyoko Nidan. Taikyoko Sandan. So that covers 3 katas for yellow belt and orange. From there, so going beyond that, you have your falls. So we'll start with the front and work our way down. Okay?